The marketplace on Apex Tertia Station buzzed with 1,000 different voices. Hana walked through the crowd with her head high and her hand resting on the sword at her hip. Aliens of every shape and size moved past her. Some had scales, some had fur, and some looked like they were made of living crystal. But Hana paid them little attention. She had walked these corridors for 3 years now, and the strange had become normal. She wore the red jacket of the Crimson Phoenix clan. The color marked her as a warrior and a protector. People moved out of her way when they saw it. They knew her clan kept order in this section of the station. They knew Hana herself had never lost a duel. A commotion near the docking bay caught her attention. Voices were raised in anger. Hana changed direction and headed toward the noise. It was her job to handle disputes. It was what her clan was paid to do. When she arrived, she found a tall reptilian alien blocking the path of a human man. The alien was a Salkesh named Tovan. Hana knew him. He owned several docking bays and charged fees that everyone said were too high. The human was a stranger. He looked ordinary. He wore simple brown clothes that merchant spacers favored. His hair was black and starting to gray at the temples. He might have been 30 years old or maybe 40. It was hard to tell. "You will pay the docking fee," Tovan hissed. His forked tongue flickered between his teeth. "It is 300 credits. The posted rate is 150, the human said. His voice was calm and quiet. "I will pay what the law requires. Not more." "The rate has changed," Tovan said. 300 credits. "Or your ship stays locked to my dock." Hana stepped forward. Both males turned to look at her. Tovan's eyes gleamed with satisfaction. The human's face showed nothing at all. "What is the problem here?" Hana asked. Tovan gestured at the human with one clawed hand. "This merchant refuses to pay his docking fees. He insults my business and questions my authority. I demand your clan resolve this matter." Hana looked at the human. "What is your name?" "Day," the man said. "I am transporting cargo to the Outer Rim. I stopped here only to refuel. I will pay the legal docking fee. Nothing more." "The fee is what I say it is," Tovan said. His voice rose higher. "I own these docks. I set the prices." Hana had heard this argument before. Tovan was greedy. Everyone knew it. But he paid the Crimson Phoenix clan good money to back his claims. That was how the station worked. Money bought protection. Protection kept order. "The law says you must honor the posted rates," Day said. He still spoke quietly, but there was something firm underneath the words. "I will pay 150 credits. You can accept it or take the matter to station security." Tovan's tail lashed behind him. "Station security takes weeks to hear cases. Your cargo will spoil. Your ship will rot in my dock, or—" He turned to Hana with a cruel smile. "Or you can settle this the proper way. Through trial by combat." Hana felt a surge of anticipation. She loved duels. She was good at them. In 3 years, she had fought warriors from 7 different species. She had won every single time. The reputation of her clan grew with each victory. Her own name was becoming known across the sector. "Is this what you want?" Hana asked Tovan. "Yes," the Salkesh said. "Let this merchant prove his honor with a blade. If he wins, he pays nothing. If he loses, he pays triple." Hana turned to Day. She expected him to refuse. Most civilians did when faced with a real warrior. They backed down and paid. It was easier than bleeding, but Day did not refuse immediately. He looked at Hana for a long moment. His eyes were dark and deep. There was something in them that made her pause. A sadness, perhaps, or maybe just exhaustion, like he had seen this scene play out 1,000 times before. "I do not want to fight you," Day said. "Then pay," Hana said. She felt a small disappointment. Another merchant backing down. Another victory won without even drawing steel. "I cannot," Day said. "The cargo I carry is medical supplies for a colony that has nothing. Every credit I spend here is medicine they will not receive. Children who will not be treated. I cannot pay robbery prices." Something in his voice made Hana's face heat up. The way he said it made her feel greedy. Made her clan seem like they worked for criminals. She did not like that feeling. "Then you are a fool," she said sharply. "A merchant playing at honor. You think you can stand against a trained warrior?" "I think I can try," Day said. Tovan laughed. It was a harsh sound. "The human has spirit." "Excellent. Make it a blood duel, girl. First blood wins. That way we know the matter is settled properly." Hana knew she should refuse. Blood duels were serious. They were for important disputes, not simple docking fees, but Tovin's words stung her. He had called her girl in front of a crowd. People were gathering now, watching the confrontation. Aliens and humans alike pressed closer to see what would happen. She thought about walking away. But then she looked at Day again. He was just standing there calmly, like he had already accepted whatever would come, like he knew he would lose but planned to try anyway. It annoyed her. This soft merchant with his quiet voice and his sad eyes. He probably thought he was noble, probably thought he was being brave. She would teach him the difference between bravery and foolishness. Fine, Hana said. A blood duel. First blood decides the matter. Bring him to the ceremonial ring in 1 hour. She turned and walked away. Behind her, she heard Tovin chuckling. She heard the crowd beginning to murmur with excitement. News of a duel would spread fast. People always came to watch her fight. They wanted to see her win again. Hana returned to the clan's quarters. Her grandmother, Elder Bora, was sitting by the window that looked out into space. The old woman was small and wrinkled, but her eyes were still sharp. I heard you accepted another duel, Bora said. A merchant refused to pay his docking fees, Hana replied. Tovan demanded satisfaction. And you agreed to bleed for Tovan's greed? Hana felt her face heat again. The merchant chose to fight. I am simply defending our clan's contract. Bora was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Be careful, granddaughter. Not everything is as it seems. There are old stories, old debts, old promises that we have forgotten. What are you talking about? Hana asked. The sword you carry, Bora said. Do you know why it has runes carved into the blade? Hana touched the weapon at her hip. It had been in her family for 8 generations. The blade was covered in intricate markings, loops and lines and symbols that looked like old Korean characters. They are decorative, Hana said. A tradition from Earth? Perhaps, Bora said. But she did not sound convinced. Or perhaps they mean something we have forgotten. Be careful when you draw that blade, Hana. Some weapons remember more than we do. Hana did not understand what her grandmother meant. The old woman sometimes spoke in riddles. It came with age, Hana thought. She kissed Bora's cheek and went to prepare for the duel. 1 hour later, Hana entered the ceremonial ring. It was a circular space 30 feet across, marked with painted lines on the metal floor. Lights shone down from above. A crowd of at least 100 beings surrounded the ring. They came from every corner of the station. Duels were entertainment here. They were a break from the boredom of space station life. Day stood on the opposite side of the ring. He had not changed his clothes. He carried no visible weapon. Someone had given him a simple steel blade, the kind used for practice. He held it loosely, like it was not important. Hana drew her family sword. The blade sang as it left the sheath. The metal caught the light and gleamed. The runes carved into the steel seemed to shimmer, but that was just the way the light hit them. Just decoration. Nothing more. First blood, the ceremony master called out. He was a neutral party, a merchant from a different sector. The duel ends when blood is drawn. The winner decides the dispute. Do both parties agree? I agree, Hana said. Day nodded. I agree. Then begin. Hana moved forward. She was fast and she knew it. She closed the distance in 3 quick steps and struck. Her blade slashed toward Day's shoulder. It was a testing strike meant to see how he would react. Day moved. He was faster than she expected. He stepped aside and her blade cut through empty air. She spun and struck again. Again he avoided the blow. His footwork was good. Too good for a merchant. She began to feel the first stirrings of doubt. The way he moved was familiar. The way he held his blade, the way he shifted his weight. These were things she recognized. These were techniques from her own training, from the old forms that Elder Bora had made her practice over and over. The ones Bora called probably just ceremonial. Day still had not attacked. He only defended. He moved with economy, wasting no energy. Every motion served a purpose. Hana pressed harder. She used speed and aggression, driving him back across the ring. The crowd was cheering now. They thought she was winning, but Hana knew better. He was letting her attack. He was studying her style, and worst of all, he was holding back. She could see it in the way he never countered when openings appeared. In the way he never tried to strike back, it made her angry. This merchant thought he was being kind, thought he was being merciful. She was a warrior of the Crimson Phoenix clan. She did not need mercy. Hana saw an opening, a real one. Day's guard dropped for just a fraction of a second. She did not hesitate. She struck fast and true. Her blade flashed through the air and bit into his palm. Blood welled up, red and bright. First blood. She had won. The light started where the blood touched the steel. It was blue and white like lightning trapped in metal. Hana watched in frozen shock as the glow spread from that single point. It raced along the carved lines of the runes. Every symbol lit up. Every loop and curve blazed with impossible brightness. In seconds, her entire blade shone like a star pulled down from the sky. The crowd gasped. Some of them stepped back. The light was so bright it hurt to look at directly. Shadows danced on the walls. The metal floor reflected the glow, making the whole ring seem to burn with cold fire. Hana could not move. Her hand gripped the sword, but she felt disconnected from it. This was not possible. This was not real. The runes were just decoration. Just old markings from Earth. They did not do anything. They could not do anything, but they were doing something now. Behind her, she heard a sound. A soft thump. She tore her eyes away from the glowing blade and looked back. Elder Bora was on her knees. The old woman's face was twisted with shock and something that looked like fear, or maybe awe. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Another thump. Hana's cousin Suhyun had dropped to his knees as well. His mouth hung open. His eyes were wide. All around the ring, members of the Crimson Phoenix clan were falling to their knees. One by one they knelt. Not in defeat. Not in prayer. In recognition. The other spectators, the aliens and the humans from different clans, they stood still. They watched with confusion and growing alarm. They did not understand what was happening. But they knew it was important. They knew something had changed. Hana finally found her voice. "What is this?" she whispered. "What is happening?" She looked at Day. He stood across from her, his wounded hand still held out. Blood dripped from his palm onto the metal floor. He was staring at the glowing sword with an expression she could not read. Sadness, resignation, something else? "I tried to avoid this," Day said quietly. His voice carried in the sudden silence. "I truly did." "Avoid what?" Hana demanded. Her voice cracked. "What is this?" "What did you do to my blade?" "I did nothing," Day said. "The blade did what it was made to do. It recognized what I am." "You are a merchant," Hana said, but even as she spoke, she knew it was a lie. Merchants did not move like he moved, did not fight like he fought, did not make ancient swords burn with light. "No," Day said. "I am not." Elder Bora spoke from her kneeling position. Her voice shook. "The old stories. I thought they were just stories. Myths we told to remember the past. But they were real. They were always real." "Grandmother, what are you talking about?" Hana still held the glowing sword. She wanted to drop it, but her fingers would not obey. Bora looked up at Day. Tears ran down her wrinkled cheeks. "You are one of them. A guardian. A first protector." The words meant nothing to Hana. She looked around wildly. Her brother Quan was in the crowd. He was a scholar, always reading old files and ancient records. "Quan, what is she talking about?" Quan's face was pale. His hands fumbled with his data pad. He pulled up files with shaking fingers. "I need to check. I need to verify. This cannot be right. What cannot be right?" Hana shouted. The glowing sword felt heavy now, hot, like it wanted to pull her toward Day. Quan read from his screen. His voice was uncertain at first, then grew stronger. 500 years ago, before humanity reached the stars, there were wars. Terrible wars. Humans fought humans. We nearly destroyed ourselves. Earth was dying. "I know the history," Hana snapped. "We learned it as children. What does that have to do with this?" "The Guardians," Quan continued. "They were created during those wars. Enhanced soldiers. Their DNA was altered, changed. They were made to be faster, stronger, harder to kill. But more than that, they were encoded with something deeper, a compulsion to protect humanity, to serve, to sacrifice." He scrolled through more files. The Korean clans were among those who forged weapons for the Guardians. "We made blades that could recognize them. That would mark them as true protectors. The runes are not decoration. They are markers. Biorecognition codes written in metal." Hana's mind struggled to process this. "But the Guardians are gone. Dead. That was hundreds of years ago." "They were supposed to be," Quan said. "After the wars ended, after humanity united and reached the stars, the Guardians were disbanded. Some say they died out naturally. Others say they were hunted. That governments feared their power, that they were killed before they could become a threat." He looked up at Day. The records say they are extinct. The records are wrong, Day said. His voice was flat, empty. Some of us survived. Hana lowered the sword. The glow did not fade. It pulsed softly like a heartbeat made of light. How many? D's silence was answer enough. How many? Hana demanded again. Maybe 30, Day said finally. Scattered across the galaxy. Hiding. Running. Trying to live without being found. Why? Hana asked. If you are what they say you are. If you are these protectors. Why hide? Because everyone wants us, Day said. His voice turned bitter. Governments want to study us. To copy our genetics. To make new soldiers. Corporations want to dissect us. To sell our parts to the highest bidder. Pirates want to capture us for ransom. Everyone sees a guardian and they see profit. Or power. Or a threat. He looked down at his bleeding hand. I stopped being a protector 200 years ago. Now I am just prey. The weight of those words settled over the crowd. 200 years. Hana's mind could not grasp it. He looked 30, maybe 40, but he had been alive for 2 centuries, watching friends die, watching the world change. Always running. Always hiding, is that why you came here? She asked. To hide? No, Day said. I came here because I had a job to do. Tovan, who had been silent until now, suddenly spoke up. The Selkesh pushed through the crowd to the edge of the ring. What job? What cargo are you really carrying, human? Day looked at him with cold eyes. Medical supplies, food, basic tools. I am taking them to a colony in the Outer Rim. Why? Tovan asked. His voice was suspicious. Because they have no money for protection, Day said. Because raiders are planning to hit them next month. Because 300 families will die if someone does not help them. He paused. And because no one else would take the job. Hana understood then. That is why you would not pay extra docking fees. Every credit matters, and yes, Day said simply. Tovan laughed. It was a harsh, cruel sound. How noble. How heroic. A guardian playing at being a savior. He turned to the crowd. Do you know what this thing is worth? A living guardian? Collectors would pay millions. Governments would pay billions. Hana saw the change in the crowd. Greed flickered in alien eyes. Humans from other clans whispered to each other. Calculations were being made. Opportunities assessed. Day saw it too. His shoulders slumped. And so it begins again, he said quietly. I should have just paid your robbery fees, Tovan. Would have been cheaper in the long run. Too late now, Tovan said. His tongue flickered with satisfaction. Vorak will want to hear about this. At the mention of that name, several people in the crowd went still. Hana felt ice form in her stomach. Vorak was a crime lord who controlled half the illegal trade in this sector. He was known for 2 things, making money and crushing anyone who got in his way. Vorak does not run this station, Hana said, but her voice lacked conviction. Vorak runs wherever he wants, Tovan replied, and he will pay me very well for this information. Day looked at Hana. I am sorry. I did not mean to bring this to your door. If I leave now, maybe they will forget about your clan. No, Elder Bora said. She struggled to her feet. Her old bones creaked, but she stood tall. No, you will not run. Not from us. Grandmother, what are you doing? Hana asked. Bora walked to the edge of the ring. She pointed at the glowing sword in Hana's hand. That blade was forged by your ancestors 8 generations ago. Do you know why they made it? To fight, Hana said. Yes, but to fight for what? Bora's eyes were fierce now. They made it to serve the Guardians. To stand beside them. To ensure that humanity's protectors would never stand alone. That was the covenant. That was the promise our ancestors made. That was 500 years ago. Hana protested. Promises do not expire, Bora said. Covenants do not fade just because time passes. The blade remembers even if we forgot. It recognized him. It called out across centuries. Now we must decide. Are we worthy of our ancestors? Or are we just mercenaries with pretty swords? Hana looked at the glowing blade. Then at Day. Then at her clan, still kneeling around the ring. They were waiting for her decision. She was the one who had drawn the sword. She was the one who had made it recognize him. But what could she do? If she tried to protect Day, she would make an enemy of Vorak. The crime lord would destroy her clan. Take their contracts, drive them from the station, possibly kill them. If she walked away, Day would run again, or be captured, used, exploited, and her clan would continue as they were, safe. Comfortable. Mercenaries with pretty swords. I need to think, Hana said. There is no time to think, Tovan said. He was backing away toward the exit. Vorax people are probably on their way already. I sent a message as soon as the sword lit up. Day nodded slowly. Then I need to go now. Thank you for the duel, Hana of the Crimson Phoenix clan. It was an honor. He turned toward the exit. His movements were calm, but Hana saw the tension in his shoulders. He was preparing to run. Again, just like he had been running for 200 years. The enforcers were easy to spot. They wore heavy armor that hissed with hydraulics. Their faces were hidden behind helmets. Weapons hung from their belts and shoulders. There were at least a dozen of them, maybe more. They had been planted in the crowd from the start, waiting for the right moment. That moment was now. The lead enforcer stepped forward. He was huge, probably over 7 feet tall. His armor was painted black with red markings. When he spoke, his voice came through a speaker that made it sound mechanical and cold. The Guardian is to come with us, by order of Vorak. Do not interfere. Hana felt her clan members rise from their kneeling positions. They formed a loose circle around her and Day. It was not much protection. They were outnumbered and outgunned. But they were there. That meant something. I have declared him under clan protection, Hana said. She tried to sound confident. Inside, her heart hammered against her ribs. By station law, you cannot take him without my permission. The enforcer tilted his head. Station law is flexible when Vorak wants something. And he wants the Guardian. You can give him up now, or we can take him. Choose. Dai moved beside Hana. Do not do this. You cannot fight them. They will kill you. Maybe, Hana said. But you heard my grandmother. Promises do not expire. I release you from any promise, Dee said urgently. I have been running for 200 years. I can run more. You do not need to die for me. Elder Bora laughed. It was a dry, crackling sound. Boy, you do not understand. This is not about you. This is about us. About who we are. About who we choose to be. More clan members were arriving now. Word had spread through the station. Warriors in red jackets pushed through the crowd. Some carried weapons. Others came with just their fists. But they came. Hana's cousin Suhyun took position beside her. He held a short blade in each hand. We heard the call. We stand with you. A woman named Mirai joined them. She was older than Hana, covered in scars from a dozen campaigns. Her face was grim but determined. If we are doing this, we need a plan. Those enforcers have serious firepower. The plan is we do not let them take Day, Hana said. Mirai snorted. That is not a plan. That is a wish, but fine. I have lived long enough. Might as well die doing something that matters. The enforcer leader raised one armored hand. Final warning. Stand aside. Hana looked at the glowing sword in her hand. The blade still pulsed with light. She thought about her training. About all the duels she had won. Those had been contests with rules and ceremonies. This would be different. This would be real violence. Real death, she was afraid. But she did not move. No, she said. The enforcer nodded. So be it. He gave a signal. The other enforcers raised their weapons. The crowd scattered, aliens and humans running for cover. In seconds, the ceremonial ring was empty except for the clan warriors and the enforcers. The first shot came without warning. A bolt of energy flashed across the ring. Hana dove to the side. The bolt hit the metal floor where she had been standing and left a smoking crater. Then everything erupted into chaos. The enforcers charged forward. The clan warriors met them. Steel clashed against armor. Energy weapons discharged with crackling sounds. People shouted and screamed. The smell of burned metal filled the air. Hana found herself facing two enforcers at once. They moved in coordination, trying to flank her. She used her speed, dancing between them, striking at joints in their armor. But her blade, even glowing, could not penetrate their heavy plating easily. One enforcer caught her with a backhand blow. The impact sent her flying. She hit the ground hard, breath knocked from her lungs. Through blurred vision, she saw the enforcer raise a weapon. This was it. This was how she died. Then Dai was there. He moved faster than anything Hana had ever seen. One moment he was across the ring. The next he was in front of her, batting the enforcer's weapon aside. The gun discharged into the ceiling. Sparks rained down. Day twisted and struck the enforcer in the chest. There was a sound like thunder. The enforcer flew backward 15 feet and crashed into a wall. He did not get up. The other enforcer tried to grab Dave from behind. Dave somehow sensed him coming. He ducked, spun, and swept the enforcer's legs. The big man crashed down. Dave followed up with a precise strike to the helmet. The visor cracked. The enforcer stopped moving. 2 down in seconds. Without weapons. Without armor. Just speed and skill and strength that should not be possible. Now everyone was watching Day. The enforcers. The clan warriors. Even the people hiding at the edges of the space. They saw what Hana had seen. What the blade had recognized. This was not a merchant. This was not a civilian. This was something that humans had created 500 years ago when they needed warriors who could not lose, could not die, could not fail. The lead enforcer spoke again. His voice had lost its confidence. Guardian, you do not want to do this. Vorak will pay you. He will give you anything you want, credits, ships, safety. Just come with us. Day shook his head. I have heard that offer 100 times. It always ends the same way. In a cage, in a laboratory, in death. Then we take you by force, the enforcer said. You can try, Day replied quietly. 4 enforcers rushed him at once. Day did not run. He stood his ground. When they reached him, he moved like water, like wind. His hands and feet struck with surgical precision. 1 enforcer went down holding his knee. Another clutched his throat, gasping. A third stumbled backward with a dented helmet. The 4th managed to grab Day's arm. Day simply threw him. The enforcer sailed through the air and crashed into 2 of his companions. All 3 went down in a tangle of armor and limbs. Hana struggled to her feet. Her ribs ached. Her head spun, but she could still fight. She charged at an enforcer who was trying to flank Day. Her glowing blade found a gap in his armor at the shoulder. He howled and dropped his weapon. Around her, the clan was fighting with renewed determination. They had seen what Day could do. They understood now what they were protecting. Not just a man. A legend made flesh. But the enforcers were not beaten yet. The leader pulled out a larger weapon. It hummed with power. Hana recognized it. A plasma rifle. Banned on most stations because of the damage it could do. Enough, the leader said. He aimed the rifle at Day. Guardian or not, you cannot survive this. A young clan member named Jin suddenly threw himself in front of Day. The boy could not have been more than 19 years old. His eyes were wide with fear, but he stood firm. No, Jin said. You will not hurt him. The enforcer did not hesitate. He pulled the trigger. Time seemed to slow. Hana screamed. Elder Bora cried out. The plasma bolt flew toward Jin, a ball of superheated death. Day moved faster than thought. He grabbed Jin and threw him to the side. The bolt missed the boy by inches, but Day could not dodge completely. The plasma hit him in the left shoulder. The impact spun Day around. He crashed to his knees. Smoke rose from his scorched flesh. The smell of burned meat filled the air. His face went white with pain, but he did not fall. He stayed on his knees, breathing hard, clutching his ruined shoulder. Blood seeped between his fingers. After a moment, he looked up at the enforcer. Is that all you have? Day asked. His voice was strained but steady. The enforcer took a step back. Impossible. That should have killed you. I am hard to kill, Day said. That is what we were made for. Surviving so we could protect people. So we could stand between humans and death. He slowly rose to his feet. His left arm hung useless at his side, but his right hand clenched into a fist. You want me? Come take me. The enforcer leader looked at his remaining men. Half of them were down. The others looked uncertain. They had weapons and armor in numbers, but they were facing something that should not exist. Something that refused to die. Fall back, the leader finally said. Regroup. We need more firepower. The enforcers began to retreat. They dragged their wounded with them. The leader kept his weapon trained on Day until he reached the exit. Then they were gone, disappearing into the station corridors. Silence fell over the ceremonial ring. The clan warriors stood among scattered weapons and burn marks on the floor. Several were wounded. All were shaking with adrenaline and fear and something like pride. Hana ran to Day. He was still standing but swaying. The wound on his shoulder looked terrible. She could see bone through the burned flesh. You need medical attention, she said. I will heal, Day said. His voice was faint. Give me a few hours. Maybe a day. The modifications are still working. Hours? Hana stared at him. That wound would kill a normal person. I am not a normal person, Day said. Then his eyes rolled back and he collapsed. Hana caught him before he hit the ground. He was heavier than he looked. She struggled to hold him up. Mireille came to help. Together they lowered him gently to the floor. Elder Bora knelt beside them. She examined the wound with experienced eyes. He spoke true. Look, the bleeding is already slowing. The flesh is already beginning to knit. His body is repairing itself. Quan pushed through the crowd. His data pad was still in his hands. I found more information. The Guardians were designed with advanced healing. They could recover from wounds that would cripple others. But it takes energy. He will need food, water, rest. Then we get him to our quarters, Hana said. Quickly. Before Vorak sends more enforcers. They carried Dai through the station. People watched them pass. Word was spreading fast. A Guardian on Apex Tertius, the Crimson Phoenix clan protecting him. Day woke 12 hours later. His eyes opened slowly, confused at first, then focusing on the ceiling above him. Hana was still sitting beside the bed. She had not left, could not leave. She needed answers. How do you feel? She asked. Day sat up carefully. He rolled his shoulder, the one that had been burned. The skin was pink and new but whole, no scar. No sign of the terrible wound except for the burned hole in his shirt. Better, he said. Hungry, thirsty, but alive. He looked at Hana. You stayed. I made a promise, Hana said. Promises can be broken, Day said. Especially when keeping them is dangerous. Not these promises, Hana replied. She stood and brought him water and food. He ate slowly, methodically, like someone who had learned not to waste anything. While he ate, others entered the room. Elder Bora, Quan, Mirai. They gathered around, waiting. They all had questions. They all wanted to understand. Finally, Day set down the empty plate and looked at them. You want to know the truth? About what I am. About what happened to the Guardians. Yes, Hana said simply. Day was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was distant, like he was seeing things from long ago. The Unification Wars were hell. Humanity turned on itself. Nuclear weapons, biological weapons, chemical weapons. We used everything we had created to destroy each other. Billions died. Earth itself was dying. He stared at his hands. The Guardians were created as a last desperate measure. Scientists took soldiers and changed them, enhanced their muscles, hardened their bones, accelerated their healing. But the physical changes were not the most important part. They encoded something into our DNA, a compulsion, a need to protect humanity, to serve, to sacrifice. They made you loyal, Quan said. They made us unable to be anything but loyal, Day corrected. We cannot turn against humans, cannot hurt them unless they are trying to hurt other humans. It is built into every cell of our bodies. We are guards that cannot abandon their post, soldiers who cannot desert, protectors who cannot stop protecting. That sounds like slavery, Mireille said bluntly. Day smiled, but there was no humor in it. It is, but it worked. We won the Unification Wars. We stopped the fighting. We brought peace. And when humanity finally united and reached the stars, everyone celebrated. Everyone except us. What happened then? Hana asked. The politicians got scared, Day said. They realized they had created something they could not control. Super soldiers with loyalty encoded into their genes. What if someone found a way to reprogram that loyalty? What if we became weapons for terrorists or dictators? What if we decided that protecting humanity meant taking over? He stood and walked to the window. Outside, the stars shone cold and distant. So they disbanded us, thanked us for our service, told us we were free to live normal lives. But how do you live a normal life when you are designed to be a weapon? When you heal from wounds that should kill you? When you do not age like other people? They hunted you, Bora said softly. Not officially, Day said. But yes, we disappeared one by one. Some were recruited by Black Ops programs and vanished into secret facilities. Some were killed by people who feared us. Some simply could not adapt to peace and ended their own lives. Within 50 years, most of us were gone. But you survived, Hana said. I ran, Day said. I learned to hide what I was. I took simple jobs, moved often, never stayed anywhere long enough for people to notice I did not age, never got close to anyone, never used my full abilities unless I had no choice. He turned back to face them. For 200 years I have been running, hiding, pretending to be something I am not. And every time someone discovers the truth, I have to run again, because everyone wants to use me, to study me, to own me. But you still help people, Hana said. The colony you are taking supplies to. You could have just refused, could have walked away. I cannot, Day said simply. That is what I am trying to explain. I am encoded to protect humans. When I hear about people in danger, people who need help, I cannot ignore it. I physically cannot. It is like hunger or thirst. I need to help, need to protect. Even when it costs me everything, the room was silent. They were beginning to understand the burden he carried. Not just the physical abilities, not just the long life, but the inability to ever stop, to ever rest, to ever choose to simply walk away. Quan spoke up. I sent messages to the other clans. The ones Commander Thale told us about. Some have replied. And? Hana asked. Most do not believe me, Quan said. They think I am joking, or crazy. But a few say they have blades like ours, with runes. They are coming to see for themselves. That is a mistake, Day said. The more people who know about me, the harder it will be to disappear again. You should let me go. Let me take my ship and leave. Then Vorak will have no reason to target your clan. Vorak already knows, Mirai said. Half the station saw that fight. Saw what you can do. He will not stop looking for you. And if he cannot have you, he will make sure no one else does. That is how he operates. As if summoned by his name, an alarm began to sound. A low, urgent wailing that echoed through the station. Quan checked his datapad. His face went pale. Vorak's forces are moving. Multiple groups. They are heading toward this section. How many? Mirai asked, already reaching for weapons. Too many, Quan said. 50, maybe more. And they are not just enforcers this time. He brought in mercenaries, bounty hunters, anyone willing to fight for the reward. Hana felt her stomach tighten. Her clan had maybe 20 warriors. Good fighters, all of them. But against 50 or more, they would be slaughtered. We need to evacuate, she said. Get to the docking bay. Get everyone onto ships. Vorak will have the docking bays covered, Mirai said. He is not stupid. He will block all the exits. Then what do we do? A younger warrior asked. Fear made his voice shake. Everyone looked at Day. He stood by the window staring out at nothing. His face was expressionless. This is not your fight, he said quietly. This is what happens when people find out about me. This is what I wanted to avoid. I will surrender myself. Tell Vorak he can have me. In exchange, he leaves your clan alone. No, Hana said immediately. Be reasonable, Day said. I can survive whatever he does to me. My healing will keep me alive. But your people will die. Is protecting me worth their lives? Hana looked around at her clan. At young Jin, who had thrown himself in front of a plasma bolt. At scarred Mirai, who had fought beside her without hesitation. At elder Bora, who had remembered the old promises when everyone else forgot. At Quan, frantically trying to find solutions on his datapad. We are not mercenaries with pretty swords, Hana said, echoing her grandmother's words. We are the Crimson Phoenix clan. Our ancestors made a covenant. We honor that covenant, even if it costs us everything. Mirai nodded. She is right. If we hand you over, we might as well sell our blades for scrap. We would be nothing. You would be alive, Day said. We would be alive with no honor, Mirai replied, with no purpose. I did not become a warrior to live a long life. I became a warrior to stand for something. This is something worth standing for. Other clan members murmured agreement, even the young ones, even the scared ones. They were afraid, yes, but they were also determined. Day looked at them with something like wonder. Why? You barely know me. I am not even part of your clan. Why would you die for me? Elder Bora moved forward. She reached up and touched Day's face gently. Because you have been alone for 200 years. Because you have been running and hiding and pretending to be less than you are. Because you are tired and hurt, and you deserve to finally have someone stand beside you. That is why. Day's composure cracked. His eyes filled with tears. For just a moment he looked like what he truly was. Not an unstoppable warrior, not a genetic marvel, just a man who had been alone for far too long. I do not know what to say, he whispered. Say you will let us help you, Hana said. Say you will stop running. At least for today? At least for this fight? Day wiped his eyes. When he looked up again, something had changed in his face. A decision made. A burden shared. Then we need a plan. How many fighters do you have? 23, Miri said. Plus you makes 24. Against 50 or more, Day said. He thought for a moment. We cannot win a straight fight. But we do not need to win. We just need to survive long enough. Long enough for what? Hana asked. For the other clans to arrive, Day said. If they are coming, we need to hold out until they get here. How long? Quan checked his messages. The nearest clan says they can be here in 6 hours. But that is the nearest. Others will take longer. 6 hours, Day said. He looked at Mirai. Can we hold for 6 hours? Mirai considered. Not in open combat. But if we use the station layout, set up defensive positions, force them to come at us through choke points, maybe. Maybe we can last that long. Then we fortify, Day said. His voice had changed. It was no longer the quiet, tired voice of the merchant. It was the voice of someone who had commanded soldiers in the Unification Wars. Someone who had fought and survived countless battles. Mirai, you know the station better than me. Where is the best place to make a stand? Mirai pulled up a map. Here, this junction. 3 corridors meet. We can cover all approaches. And there is a supply depot nearby. Food, water, medical supplies if we need them. Good, Day said. Evacuate everyone non-essential. Elders, children, anyone who cannot fight. The first wave hit like a storm. Mercenaries poured into all 3 corridors simultaneously. They fired as they advanced, energy bolts and projectiles filling the air. The clan warriors returned fire from behind their barriers. The junction exploded with light and noise and violence. Day was everywhere at once. He moved between the clan positions, his enhanced speed making him blur. When mercenaries got too close, he met them hand to hand. His movements were precise and efficient. A strike to disable. A throw to create distance. A kick to break formation. He never killed if he could avoid it. That was not what Guardians were made for. But the mercenaries kept coming. They had numbers and firepower. For everyone that fell back, 2 more advanced. The clan was being pushed slowly backward. Hana fought at the center position. Her glowing sword had become a beacon in the chaos. Every time she struck, the blade pulsed with light. It was like fighting with a piece of the sun in her hands. The runes sang with purpose. Beside her, young Jin was holding his position despite his fear. His hands shook, but he kept firing. Kept fighting. On the left flank, Mirai commanded with cold efficiency. Her scarred face showed no emotion as she coordinated defensive fire, but it was not enough. They were being overwhelmed. A lucky shot got through the barriers and hit Suyun in the leg. He went down with a cry. Hana saw it happen. Saw him fall. Saw the mercenaries preparing to push through the gap his fall created. Day was there in seconds. He pulled Suyun back behind cover and stood in the gap himself. 3 mercenaries rushed him. He met them head-on. The fight was brutal and brief. When it ended, all 3 mercenaries were unconscious on the floor and Day had a new gash across his ribs. He ignored it. Already it was beginning to heal. Fall back to second position, Mirai shouted. We cannot hold here. The clan warriors retreated in good order, covering each other. Day stayed at the rear, protecting the withdrawal. Hana stayed with him. She would not let him stand alone again. They fell back to a narrower corridor. Only one approach now, which was both better and worse. Better because they could concentrate their fire. Worse because there was only one way out. The mercenaries regrouped. Hana could see them in the corridor ahead, clustering behind cover. They were preparing for another push. How long? Dai asked. Quan checked his pad with shaking hands. 4 hours. Maybe less. The nearest clan is pushing their engines hard. 4 hours, Day repeated. He looked at their defensive position. At the wounded being tended by elders behind them. At the exhausted faces of warriors who had been fighting nonstop. We can last 4 hours. But then new figures appeared in the corridor. Large figures in heavy-powered armor. Hana recognized the lead one immediately. The red markings on black plating. The massive plasma rifle. Vorak's elite enforcers. The ones who had retreated from the first fight. They had come back with reinforcements. Guardian, the lead enforcer called out. His amplified voice echoed off the metal walls. You cannot win. You are trapped. Surrender now and we will spare the clan. Continue fighting and we kill everyone. Day stepped forward. If I surrender, what happens to me? Vorak will sell you to the highest bidder, the enforcer said honestly. You will spend the rest of your very long life in a laboratory, being studied, being copied, being used. But you will live. Is that not better than watching these people die for you? Hana moved beside Day. He is not yours to take. He stands with us. Then you will die with him, the enforcer said. He raised his plasma rifle. Behind Hana, Elder Bora began to sing. It was an old song. A warrior song from ancient Korea. From Earth Before the Stars. Her voice was thin and cracked with age, but it carried. Other elders joined in. Then the warriors. Even wounded Suhyun sang from where he lay. The song spoke of warriors who stood against impossible odds. Of defenders who would not retreat. Of promises kept even unto death. It was a song about honor and sacrifice and the things that mattered more than survival. The mercenaries shifted uncomfortably. Even the enforcer paused. There was something unsettling about people who sang while facing death. Then, from behind the mercenary line, someone else began to sing. The same song. The same words, but in a different voice. A man pushed through the mercenary ranks. He wore a gray jacket with a different clan symbol. Behind him came a dozen warriors. They took positions beside the mercenaries, facing toward the enforcer. The Grey Tiger clan stands with the Crimson Phoenix, the man announced. The covenant still binds. The enforcer turned his weapon toward them. You are making a mistake. No, the man said. We made a mistake 500 years ago when we forgot what our blades were for. We will not make that mistake again. More figures appeared. A woman in a blue jacket. The Blue Dragon clan stands with the Crimson Phoenix. The covenant still binds, then others. More clans. More warriors. They came from different corridors, different directions. Some had traveled for hours after receiving Kwan's messages. Some had arrived expecting to find nothing but a foolish story. But when they saw Day, when they sensed what he was, they knew the truth. One by one, clan leaders drew their ancient blades. And one by one, those blades began to glow with the same light as Hana's sword. The runes recognized what stood before them. The biomarkers coded into their metal 5 centuries ago still worked, still remembered. Within minutes, there were over 60 warriors standing in the corridor. 60 glowing blades. 60 warriors who had rediscovered their purpose. The mercenaries looked at each other uncertainly. This was not what they had signed up for. They had come for an easy reward. Not to fight an army of clan warriors with magic swords and ancient oaths. The enforcer lowered his weapon slowly. Vorak will not forget this. He will come after all of you. All of your clans. He has resources. He has time. He will destroy you one by one. Let him try, Hana said. We are not hiding anymore. We are not pretending to be something we are not. We are the keepers of the covenant. And we stand together. The enforcer backed away. The mercenaries went with him. They disappeared into the station, retreating completely this time. The threat was over, at least for now. In the sudden silence, warriors from different clans stared at each other, at the glowing blades in their hands, at the tired, wounded guardian they had all come to protect. Day looked around at them with something like awe. I do not understand why. Why would you risk this? I am nothing to you. Just an old soldier who should have died centuries ago. The Grey Tiger leader stepped forward. He was older than Hana, with silver streaking his hair. My name is Taewon. My grandmother told me stories. About the Guardians. About the Blades. About the Covenant. I thought they were just stories. But when I received the message, when I heard that someone's blade had lit up, he looked down at his own glowing sword. I had to see for myself. And now that I know it is real, I cannot walk away. None of us can. But Vorak, Day started. Vorak is one crime lord on one station. The Blue Dragon leader interrupted. She was younger, fierce-looking. We are clans scattered across a dozen systems. If he comes after one, he comes after all. Let him try. He will learn what happens when you threaten the old covenants. Besides, Taewon said with a slight smile, you are not the only guardian left, are you? You said there were 30, maybe more. With these blades, we can find them. Protect them. Give them what you have been missing for 200 years. A home, Hana said softly. A place to stand. People to stand with. Day's eyes filled with tears again. He did not bother to hide them this time. I cannot ask you to do this. To change your lives for me. For us. You are not asking, Elder Bora said. She had made her way through the crowd to stand before Day. We are choosing. Our ancestors made a covenant. They promised that humanity's guardians would never stand alone. That promise was forgotten, but it was never broken. Today we remember. Today we choose to honor what was promised. Commander Thale arrived with station security. He stopped and stared at the scene. At the dozens of warriors with glowing blades. At the wounded but victorious defenders. At Day standing in the center of it all, surrounded by people who had chosen to protect him. "What happened to my station?" Thale asked, but there was a hint of humor in his voice. "Nothing bad," Hana said. "Just people remembering old promises." Thale nodded slowly. "Vorak has left the station. He took his forces and departed an hour ago. I believe he has decided that some prizes are not worth the cost." He looked at Day. "You are free to go, Guardian, or free to stay. My security forces will not trouble you." "Thank you," Day said quietly. Over the next few hours, the clan warriors tended their wounded and shared their stories. They came from different systems, different backgrounds, but they all carried the same blades. All remembered fragments of the same stories. All felt the same pull when they saw what day was. Quan was busy collecting information. "There are at least 20 other clans I have found records of. Maybe more. If we contact them all, if we tell them what happened here, we could have hundreds of warriors, maybe thousands. And the other guardians," Taewon added. "If we search, we can find them. Pull them out of hiding. Give them protection." Dee shook his head in wonder. "A year ago I was alone. Running. Hiding. Convinced I would spend the rest of my endless life as prey. And now you have an army," Mireille said with satisfaction. "An army of people who will stand with you.